Hey guys, welcome to week 7 of the Relationship Challenge. I want to jump right in and tell a story to illustrate this subject for this week. So, a long time ago, over 30 years ago, I remember us bursting through the doors of the reception after our wedding. Just got married. We'd been married 30 minutes.
All of 30 minutes.
We have a great time. We get to the end, and it's time for us to leave. I remember my buddy Ted decorating the car like crazy, and so we leave. We did not eat at our own reception. Why did we not eat?
I have no idea.
Big day. We're starving. Food's important to me. We're hungry, so we drive through a local drive-through fast food restaurant. We go through. I'm in my tux. You're in your dress.
Yep.
We get in the line. Okay, we're driving just like this, shoulder to shoulder. I look up and I order what we're supposed to order, a sandwich and some fries and a drink. We're going to share because we're so in love, right? So the girl hands me the bag. I hand it to my beautiful new bride. She grabs it and she stops me. She slams her arm across me, and she says, "Hold up." Now, at this point, I burst into a little bit of a sweat. It was hot that November, but she says, "The fries are cold."
I did.
So she stops me, and you lean over in front and lean over and tell the girl at the window, "The fries are cold." The girl looks at us and says, "Oh, well, hold on, let me talk to my manager." Comes back, says, "It'll be 3 minutes for hot fries." Do you remember what you did?
I did.
She leans over, she says, "That's fine, we'll wait right here." Now, at this moment, I was trying to figure out who I had married because I had not seen this part of my bride yet. And what I realized that our families, this was the first evidence that I can remember in our relationship where our families of origin, how we were shaped by those around us, it was the first time that it impacted our relationship.
Right.
This was something that my family would never have done. We would have eaten the cold fries and said thank you. Lisa said no, but you did you came from a restaurant family. You guys did.
Right, and as a restaurant family, the customer was always right. If somebody said they had cold fries, you would say, "Oh my goodness, let me get you some hot fries."
Now, I want to be accurate here in that we didn't walk away going, "Wow, your family of origin shaped you differently than mine, and this is going to impact our relationship for the rest of our lives." We didn't say that, but it was the beginning of us figuring out that we were different from each other.
Right.
Now, so this week we want to talk about that, how our families of origins have shaped us. And it doesn't matter what relationship that is, husband, wife, brother, sister, father, son, mother, daughter. It could be anyone, friend. You've all been shaped, we've all been shaped, and it affects our relationships.
Right. In fact, Pete Scazzero, in his book, The Emotionally Healthy Church, he has a whole series, Emotionally Healthy Leaders. He says this: numerous external forces may shape us, but the family we have grown up in is the primary and, except in rare instances, the most powerful system that will shape and influence who we are. And then he says this. He says, "I'll never forget the first time my wife and I examined our marriage in light of our parents." He said, "We sat back in our chairs, looked at each other, saying with our facial expressions something we could not deny after almost 10 years of marriage. Our parents had positive contributions, but we were surprised by the unhealthy patterns we had also unconsciously picked up." So that's really what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, we've really researched this over the years in school and seminary. We've done the genograms and the family dynamics, and for you guys, what we're going to encourage you to do is to look at this, at least begin to research how you were shaped, and also the person who you're in relationship was shaped, and because we know this will really bring us the connection if we begin to have the understanding. Right. You know, we've always said become a student of your spouse when we talk in marriage seminars, but you need to become a student of that relationship.
Yeah.
If it's your son, daughter, your dad, your uncle, whoever, your friend, because the way you were shaped is going to impact the way you do your relationships. And when you understand the families of origin and how you were shaped, it really allows you to bring that connection we talked about last week,
Right.
the understanding.
So not only does it give context and you have better understanding, but it also gives you the opportunity to go, wait, why do I do it this way? I don't have to keep doing it this way. We can change. We can do this our way, right?
Yeah, so, and you know what's really interesting, I met with some friends of ours last week, and they had sort of a strained relationship with one of their sons, so they actually are working on it with the son. Now, this son is 40 years old, so that's how long they've been the parents. And finally, the mother shared with him how she was raised by her mother and how her father had died young and how it impacted her. The son had never heard this story before, had never known this about his grandmother and how it shaped his own mom, and it put so much context. And it's little things like that.
Right.
You know, we're not asking people. I know people get very nervous when we start talking
Right.
about research in your families. You're afraid you're going to unearth something that you don't want to know, or a lot of times, like me, I feel like, hey, what's wrong with my family? I'm the great American family. Nothing's wrong with my family. And we're not talking about what's wrong or right. What we're talking about is just getting understanding of how
Sure.
you were shaped, right, emotionally.
Just seeing what the impact is so that you have an opportunity, again, to get context and create change. We were talking to another couple last week, and the guy said, you know, I realized in my marriage, the way that I communicate with my wife has everything to do with how I communicated, because his mom had a tendency to worry, and so what he learned was to not communicate details, not give too much, and so he would hold back in communicating. And then, so when he got married and was communicating with his wife, he was realizing she really needed details. She needed to know a lot more, and so they had to work through that.
But it took him a while, but it's so enlightening once he realized that
Right.
that was how he was shaped.
Yeah.
And so it's not about blaming, it's not about finding fault, it's about understanding. And that's what we want you guys to do. So
Yeah.
Lisa, as we wrap this up, what would we say to these folks as far as resources? What would be good steps?
Well, so I mean, there's sort of different layers. If you just kind of want to dive in, you know, to the shallow end, I would say just start asking questions. Like, just start thinking about how your family did things, like how they communicated, how they did conflict, maybe how they
Handled finances.
Absolutely.
Or what, maybe even spirituality. Did they talk at you, or did they tell you what you needed to believe, or did they let that be your own story? Because it shapes how you even do that now.
And to go a little bit deeper might mean that you have some conversations with siblings. Or we always kind of laugh because we always like to say there's an aunt somewhere in the family who's sort of like the keeper of information.
She knows every piece of dirt, and she would love to tell you about it as well.
Yes.
Hey, with that in mind, I was just talking to somebody yesterday,
Yeah.
and this lady said, last year, I want to let you know that over the last couple of years, I spent time asking this aunt
Right.
all about our family and how we were shaped, and she documented all this and did a genogram. What happened is her aunt died this past fall, and it was a devastating loss to her, but she was so thankful that she was able to document and to talk
Right.
and to build that relationship, so much so that the aunt's children have come back to her and said, I can't believe you were able to have those conversations with
Yeah.
our mother. Can we understand? Can you tell us what she said?
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Because what we're talking about isn't just like genealogy. Like,
Right.
you're not just writing names and who was married to who. This is really about what Pete Scazzero called the unhealthy patterns. What have we picked up that probably needs redemption, that probably needs to be taken to our Heavenly Father, that we say, God, would you help us to create change in this area?
I will say that as I learned your story, Lisa, it changed the way that I see things. I don't take things personally. Now I understand you see things through a different lens, you hear things differently, and so do I. And as we've understood each other, it's really helped us have that intimacy and the connection that we've wanted. And again, it's not about married couples, it's about anyone as long as you begin to understand. So we would ask you guys, do the research, reach out, ask those people, maybe even grab the Emotionally Healthy Church or Emotionally Healthy Leader.
They can even do a genogram.
Absolutely.
Like you can Google genogram, and if you need help from a counselor, certainly go that route. It kind of depends on really what you want to do or have time for, but at least get started because it's really interesting information.
This is huge. Thank you guys. We waited till week 7 to have you dig in this far, but thank you for tuning in. We always love hearing from you in the feedback, so we look forward to seeing you next week on the Relationship Challenge.